In this video, I'll give you a quick tour of where you can find most of the educational materials for this course. These include text materials, lecture videos, worked examples, and maybe most importantly, interactive practice problems you can use to get immediate feedback on your understanding of the materials. Before getting into the details of the website layout, I want to talk about different types of learning activities in general. Typically, educators group student activities into two main categories, passive and active. Passive learning includes things like watching a video or reading a textbook. These things don't actually require you to produce anything yourself. Active learning requires you to actually contribute something to the process. These are things like working problems, doing homework and quizzes, or taking exams. Passive activities such as watching videos and reading can become active through taking notes. Active learning is more effective than passive learning. Now let's do a quick tour of the specific types of learning materials available. The materials on the site are organized primarily by unit. These are broad categories and would most closely correspond to chapters in a textbook. The units are listed in this left-hand column. You can navigate among the units by clicking on the button you want. Each unit contains a number of lessons listed in this main page. Each lesson typically has reference material, usually consisting of a section of a textbook, a lecture video, examples with either written or video solutions, practice problems, and quizzes. The reference materials, video, and examples are all passive activities and should be fairly self-explanatory. The reference and video links open a new tab in your browser and display the relevant information. There are generally multiple examples in a given lesson. Let's visit Lesson 1.11. To preview an example, click on the number in the left column. The problem statement will appear in this main window. Solutions are available in the form of a video or a PDF file, or sometimes both. Click whichever is available to see the solution. The practice problems and quizzes are active learning materials. I'll go through them in a little more detail next. The active materials are the important part of the course. This is where you work problems and answer questions in order to find out whether you actually understand the material. The active materials are in the form of practice problems and quizzes. I'll demonstrate practice problems first. Practice problems come in different varieties and difficulty levels. The difficulty level is indicated on the problems by stars. Problems are rated in increasing level of difficulty by 1, 2, and 3 stars. Generally speaking, simple problems are in the form of multiple choice or multiple select problems. More difficult problems require you to enter a number or a symbolic expression as your solution. Those problems will check for mathematical equivalence, so your answer just needs to be mathematically equivalent to the correct solution. Let's start by going to Lesson 2.4 and clicking on the practice problems. The left-hand column displays a list of subtopics. To view the problems in a subtopic, click on this Expand button. Let's look at problem 2.4.b.1. This is a multiple choice problem. Notice that there's an indicator of what I feel is the problem's difficulty next to the problem number. This difficulty level is relative to other problems in that lesson, so a 1-star problem in Unit 8 could be a lot more difficult than a 3-star problem in Unit 2. Problem 2.4.b.6 requires a numerical entry. The answer to this problem is 1 amp, so I'll enter 1. Notice that I don't have to include units. The correct units are provided next to the text entry box. When I click on the Submit button, the response is indicated as correct. However, any mathematically equivalent solution should also work. To try this, I'll click on a different problem to reset that problem, and then return to 2.4.b.6. This current can be calculated from a current divider formula, which I can input directly. The current I1 is 2 amps times the ratio of 4 ohms to the sum of 4 ohms plus 4 ohms. That's also indicated as correct. If I want to get a little bit ridiculous, the square root of 4 minus the cosine of 0 is also 1, and it is also correct. The site also attempts to determine mathematical equivalence between symbolic expressions. To illustrate that, let's go back to the class homepage and look at a practice problem in lesson 5.1. Choose the block diagram sublesson and select problem 5.1.b.1. The answer to this problem is that z is equal to 4 times the quantity 3 times x minus 2 times y plus y. This is indicated as correct. Algebraically, this is the same as 12 times x plus 8 times y minus y, which is 12x minus 7y. That's also recognized as being correct. Next, let's talk about the quizzes. The quizzes are probably the best indicator of how well you've learned the material. The quizzes aren't automatically available when you first visit a lesson. In order to unlock the lesson's quiz, you need to have successfully completed at least one 3-star practice problem. Access to the quizzes is limited to only 3 tries. The recorded quiz score will be the highest of those 3 attempts. Quiz problems are exactly like the practice problems, so I'll only do a brief demonstration of the quizzing process here. I'll start out by browsing around for a 3-star problem that I think I can do. Problem 2.5.b.4 looks good. The current I1 is 1 amp and I2 is 2 amps. That's correct, so let's go back to the home page and check the quiz. The quiz is now unlocked, so let's try it. The progression through quiz problems is automatic, so do the quiz problems in the order they appear. Quiz problems are indicated as either being correct or incorrect before the next problem is attempted. My score wasn't great, but it does give me some insight into what kind of studying I need to do. And after I do that, I still have 2 more tries at the quiz. Feedback is imperative, and you only get feedback with active learning. You won't really learn by only watching videos and looking at examples. So make sure you work some problems to check your understanding. And don't worry about making mistakes. Those are important learning tools.